Hello, everybody. It is Dark Khan here. How are you all doing today? I'm doing pretty well. I'm hungry right now, actually, so I probably won't go on too long with this episode of Strike Force, but I just wanted to get the news out of the way, since I did say that I was going to do these Strike Forces more often than once a week, but I haven't really been keeping up on that promise, but I'm attempting to right now. So anyway, just a few quick articles that I came across, and I probably won't go on too long. So bring up the chat on my phone here. And there we are. All right. So, as the title suggests in this episode of Strike Force, do liberals want these migrants to die? I thought that was pretty interesting. They're probably, the writer of this article from CNS News is probably not literally thinking that these said migrants are going to die, but they're just probably using, immigration leftists' own logic against them in this article. But anyway, from CNSNews.com by Terrence P. Jeffrey, do liberals want these migrants to die? Last September, 2 children illegally crossed over the U.S.-Mexico border into the United States. One was accompanied by a parent who compelled the child to cross. The other was not. Soon, liberal activists were working to make sure one of these children died. Wait, I guess Terrence P. Jeffrey is not being facetious in his titling of this article. But anyway, which one did they want to see dead? The child compelled to cross the border by the illegally crossing parent. What was this child's offense? Physical location. You see, this child was the unborn child of the other. His or her greatest problem was not having crossed illegally into the United States. It was not having yet crossed out of the womb. Okay, so this is going to tie into abortion as well. I ought to add that tag to this episode of Strike Force. The American Civil Liberties Union, representing a guardian appointed for the mother, sued in federal court claiming that this Jane Doe, quote unquote, had a, quote, right, unquote, inside the United States to take the life of her unborn child. Yeah, already kind of turning me off because, yeah, you don't have the same rights as full-on citizens of the United States have. I mean, you have the right to life, obviously. I mean, we cannot just go around killing immigrants, legal or illegal. But at the same time, you don't have the same voting rights as full-on regular citizens do until you're a full-on naturalized immigrant citizen, you know. As this column noted in October, Judge Karen Henderson of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia accurately described the basic facts of the case in a dissenting opinion. Quote, in or about early July 2017, 17-year-old Jane Doe became pregnant, wrote Judge Henderson. On or about September 7, 2017, she attempted to re-enter the United States illegally and unaccompanied. By J.D.'s own admission, authorities detained her upon arrival. The judge wrote, she has since remained in custody in a federally funded shelter because she is an unaccompanied alien child. Excuse me. Okay, so what I'm getting is that the child is already born, but before she was born, the mother was attempting to get an abortion. And it is highly likely she knew when she entered the United States that she was pregnant, and she was at least 8 weeks pregnant at the time, wrote Judge Henderson. Yeah, that's enough time for you to know when you're pregnant. Shout out to Lord of Patriarchy on that one, because during the debate, he was, I don't know, griping with me about when a woman can tell when they're pregnant. Notably, the judge said, elective abortion is illegal in JD's home country. Really? Wait a minute. I don't think they're mentioning. I mean, they say that they crossed over the U.S.-Mexico border, but they're not citing of where Jane Doe. I mean, if Jane Doe is the real name of the person, maybe they're just trying to keep her unanimous. I don't know, but they're not mentioning of who said Jane Doe's native country actually is. But elective abortion is illegal in JD's home country. I wonder what the technical term for elective abortion is. Is elective abortion the official term for abortion in the name of convenience, as I like to call it personally? You know, when the mother wasn't raped, there wasn't any incest, and her life isn't endangered if she was to carry the child, but she just wanted to get an abortion because it's too inconvenient. Is that what the official term is for abortion out of convenience? Is elective abortion? I don't know. Something that I probably ought to look up. The Office of Refugee Resettlement is the federal agency responsible for taking care of unaccompanied alien minors. It had custody of Doe, and it also had a policy of not facilitating abortions. The ACLU argued this policy violated Doe's, quote, right, unquote, to kill her unborn child. After 4 weeks of court battles, Jane was finally allowed to obtain her abortion, the ACLU later reported on its blog. Wait a minute. Wait. You say that the child was put into custody in a federally funded shelter. I don't know. Are they talking about the same child? They seem to be all over the place regarding the timeline here. But we'll find out for certain what happened. Yeah, at 8 weeks, you can pretty much tell of when that you are pregnant. And on top of that, also, that is like way within the comfort range of when that brainwaves are detected. And of course, as everyone subscribed to my channel knows, that's what I consider to be a good metric for personhood. Me personally. Okay. To obtain her abortion. This was a liberal triumph. An innocent unborn child who had been illegally brought across the country by his or her mother was deliberately killed by an American doctor with the help of an American liberal advocacy group and with the consent of American judges. Okay, so up above here, they're not talking about the said unborn child of said Jane Doe. Thus was this shining city upon a hill turned into a tomb for an innocent migrant child. Get out of my face, ad. The ACLU has continued to pursue its case as a class action and aimed at establishing that all female unaccompanied alien minors in federal custody have a, quote, constitutional, unquote, right to abortion inside the United States. In February, in deposing ORR Director Scott Lloyd, the ACLU exposed a falsehood at the core of its case. It denies basic science. Okay. So let's see what the basic science is that they deny. So this particular minor had your attention, or excuse me. So this particular minor had your attention about the type of procedure that she was going to undergo, because in your mind, it was a procedure that would involve the destruction of human life, the ACLU lawyer asked Lloyd. Well, it's not just in my mind, that's objective, Lloyd responded. That's objective. Okay. I'm not understanding what this ORR is. Questions for what ORR is, but okay. Is your belief that the abortion is a destruction of human life informed by your religion, faith? Asked the lawyer. It's informed by the reality of the situation and the scientific facts, said Lloyd. You know what? I get so tired of this line, by the way. When people, it almost seems like a borderline red herring, honestly, to be talking about religion, to be asking about religion in an abortion discussion. Just my personal opinion. Brandon Paget in the chat says, transphobic. Ah! Yes, I'm a dirty transphobe. It's informed by the reality of the situation and the scientific facts, said Lloyd. Yes, people, there is some science to back up that fetuses are living human beings. It is not based off of the Bible. In fact, the Bible doesn't say clear cut as to whether unborn fetuses are actually humans or not. I mean, there is no straight verse that says that. I mean, I guess God expects you to like make the clear-cut A to B connection that they are human life, and so therefore it's murder, and therefore doesn't say anything in the Bible. But I don't know. That's my guess, anyways. Lloyd could have asked, or Lloyd also, excuse me, being a little bit dyslexic here. Lloyd could also have asked this ACLU lawyer, what is 2 plus 2? If the lawyer had managed to correctly answer that it is 4, he could have followed up, do you believe that everyone, regardless of their belief system, believes that 2 plus 2 is 4? Okay, I do not get the, I do not get this logic. Your mic is kind of breaking up. What? This is Cody Ray in the chat. Well, hold on a second. Okay, so I muted, then unmuted myself. How am I sounding right now, Cody? And I just checked my settings, and apparently I am taking audio through my mic here, my home and office mic, and not my webcam, so that's good. Anyway, so about that paragraph, it almost seems like a, I don't know, a little bit of a silly analogy for the writer of this article to be bringing up 2 plus 2 equals 4, but, you know, whatever. Is your belief that 2 plus 2 is 4 informed by your religious faith? Oh, okay, now I get the analogy. Now I get the analogy. It's a way to try and expose the red herring that this is of bringing up somebody's religion or asking about the religion in a discussion about abortion. Yeah, I mean, I get tired of whenever pro-choicers say, law doesn't care about your religion when we are talking about abortion. Cody Ray says in the chat, it's a little better. Okay, thank you, Cody. I hope that the audio did not be a complete spurge. I hope it at least, I hope the words were at least clear. I mean, if I end up sounding like Megatron or Optimus Prime through the mic, I mean, that's fine. But if it completely, utterly cut out at points, well, then I am going to be pissed about this episode of Strike Force. Someone could have further asked this lawyer, are you both human and alive? And therefore, are you a human life? The ACLU is at war with both the facts of life and the laws of nature. Okay. So, ORR Director Scott Lloyd. I cannot remember if it mentioned the abbreviations of what the ORR is, but let's see what this group is. Very quickly, we're going to go to Google, y'all. And we'll get on to the next article. I mean, because I'm very curious as to who this Scott Lloyd guy is and what this ORR organization is. Scott Lloyd Administration. Office of Refugee Resettlement. Okay, I see. So Scott Lloyd is the actually, I'm not so sure if this organization, Office of Refugee Resettlement, is a pro-Syrian refugee organization or not. I do not know what the political compass is. I mean, for all I know, it could be just a nonpartisan humanitarian group, but whatever. So I get the relevancy to Scott Lloyd in this discussion. I mean, the article that we just got done reading was talking about immigration, and so you are bringing up the director of an organization that does deal with immigration, and, well, no duh, but refugees are tied in with the issue of immigration. So they go as, he gets asked by the ACLU, do you believe that is a human life, that an unborn fetus is a human life? And Scott Lloyd says yes, and ACLU kind of finds itself in a little bit of a corner. So anyway, if I may pull up the next article. This is, okay, so it's probably downhill from here on the excitement of this, or the interest of this episode of Strike Force, because the next article was shared to the Poor Bastards group chat by S-Man Speaks, and he suggested maybe you can read it in an episode of Strike Force, and I thought, hey, why not? Okay. And the title of the article, the article is from CNBC.com, and I do not know how far the lean is for CNBC. I mean, I know that CNBC is kind of tied in with MSNBC, sort of, but I wouldn't know if they are comparable to MSNBC as far as liberal bias goes. But anyway, posted by Lori Konish. Title of the article goes, "Your local post office could become a bank if this bill passes." A bill put forth by Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, aims to make loans more affordable by offering retail banking services at the U.S. Postal Service. While consumers who rely on payday loans would benefit from lower rates, the proposal opens questions as to how the loans will be paid for and serviced. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, is proposing legislation aimed at putting an end to current payday lending practices by giving some banking services a new home, the U.S. Post Office, or the U.S. Post Office. The legislation, called the Postal Banking Act, would make retail banking services available at all U.S. Postal Service locations. That amounts to 30,000 post offices nationwide. Services would include small dollar loans for consumers that offer low fees and low interest rates. Those transactions would compete with payday loans, a short-term advance that typically comes due with your next paycheck. The terms for payday loans are often unfavorable, said Alex Horowitz, senior research officer for the Consumer Finance Project at Pew Charitable Trusts, an independent research organization. About 12 million individuals use payday loans annually, according to Horowitz. The average loan is $375 for a period of 5 months, which accrues about $520 in fees, he said. Wow. Okay. Is that like on average, or, I mean, couldn't a person like immediately pay the $375, like, say, by their very next paycheck? Like, say, one day they end up being forced to take out a loan, and then the next day they get their paycheck and they immediately pay off that loan. Would the fee still come in? I don't know. I'm not a banker. These loans are extraordinarily expensive with annual percentage rates near 400%, Horowitz said. Kirsten Gillibrand, this idea could wipe out the predatory practices of the payday loan industry overnight by providing an accessible and low-cost alternative. This is on Twitter, by the way. She also tweets on Twitter, "Payday lending traps compound the financial struggles of many hardworking people who are struggling to get by. It makes it expensive to be poor. A simple short-term $50 loan to pay a utility bill or repair a car could end up costing 400% more to repay in just 2 weeks. Makes it expensive to be poor." Not necessarily. I mean, you can still be poor, but at the same time be getting by in life without having to take out a loan from the bank. I mean, okay, probably shouldn't be talking about this, but I never had to take out a loan to pay for bills. I did take out a student loan to pay for my welding trade school, though, but that's about it. And also, FYI, I received no government handouts, like no welfare of any sorts. So, and technically I'm poor because, you know what, never mind. I'm just going to leave it right there. Payday loans are often provided by small credit merchants to individuals who face high prices and unaffordable payments, Horowitz said. That includes households that hold traditional bank accounts but cannot access such transactions through those institutions. It also includes a smaller portion of households that do not have bank accounts at all. Last October, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau authorized banks and credit unions to provide small dollar loans as long as consumers have more than 45 days to repay the money. Those institutions have the capability to offer loan rates that are 6 times lower than available payday loans, according to Horowitz. but those institutions still need the go-ahead from their respective regulators in order to provide these loans. While the regulator each institution answers to varies, they include the Office of the Comptroller, that's a new word for me, Comptroller of the Currency, the Federal Reserve, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and the National Credit Union Administration. A spokesman for the CFPB declined to comment, citing the agency's policy to not comment on pending legislation. Okay, so we're almost near to the end of this article, and maybe I'll read another article. I don't know. Depends on how much time I'm into this episode. The idea first surfaced in a report from the Office of the Inspector General in January 2014. The Postal Service could see $8.9 billion in new revenue annually from receiving 10% of the interest and fees being spent on non-bank transactions. Banks and credit unions would be well positioned to offer these services because of their ability to provide speed, ease, and certainty. Horowitz said, postal banking, on the other hand, would address the needs of the underbanked and unbanked populations. Some rural areas have post offices, but no bank or credit union branches. Pew found in its research. In addition to small dollar loans, Gillibrand's postal bank legislation also includes other services, including small dollar checking and savings accounts, transactional services, including debit cards, cash machines, bill payments, and online services, as well as domestic and international wire transfers. It's important to note that transaction services and credit services are different and will require different expertise in economics to work, Horowitz said, really being dyslexic today with reading of these articles. There are some difficult questions that need to be worked out in order to create a successful postal bank, and David O'Connell, senior analyst at 8 Group, an independent research and advisory firm. If the postal bank offers lower rates on payday loans, chances are they will have to be subsidized to account for the risk, O'Connell said. That could fall on non-payday loan borrowing taxpayers. The government would also have to assume the responsibility of collecting on any defaulted loans made to cash-strapped individuals, he said. Dennis Shaw, CEO of the Community Financial Services Association of America, that's a mouthful, a national association representing non-bank lenders, said that while he welcomes greater competition, which can drive down costs for consumers, there are some concerns. To date, almost all the attempts to create small dollar loan alternatives have been charity-based, required government subsidies, or were unprofitable and unsustainable, Shaw said. The private sector remains the best opportunity for serving small dollar short-term loans. I mean, I'm not really either here nor there on this article, honestly, because honestly, this kind of went over my head overall. So how much time have I gone on? Okay, I've gone on for about 23 minutes and 27 seconds, so I might go on longer. I'll save those 2 articles for Sunday. You know, since we're on the issue of immigration, I think I'll read this article that I have saved in my notes as well. All right. Good to know that the connection is not crapping out, at least for going live. I mean, my mic kind of crapped out, so Cody Ray said, but at least the internet connection is not crapping out. The connection with my Google Hangouts. Okay. So, this is a blog post from cnsnews.com by Craig Bannister. Hold on a second. Let me give myself a drink. Oh, man. So, anyway, from CNSnews.com by Craig Bannister. White House lists judicially created loopholes protecting criminal aliens convicted of egregious crimes. Okay, this is coming from the White House. Okay, I'm noticing the feed on my phone here of my video, and it keeps someone to go back to my profile pic. So hopefully the audio at least is still coming in, whereas the screen share might not be coming in constantly, but hopefully the audio is at least. There it goes again. So anyway, as I was saying about this article, I do not know if I would really trust the White House itself regarding listing off all legal loopholes, because, White House, the president, everybody associated with the president, have all been known to lie. So it would have been best on your part, Mr. Bannister, if you would have at least sourced a nonpartisan nonprofit group or something like that, a private institution, and not some government, not some, higher up the federal government organization, such as the White House. And plus, you also have to take into contribution that the president of the United States, the person residing in the White House, is anti-illegal immigration, and some people on the left might even say full on just anti-immigration in general. So of course he is going to he and his staff are going to list off all the loopholes, and so they might just merely dismiss this. But anyway, but still taking in this with a bit of a grain of salt, let's move on. Judicially created loopholes are enabling violent criminal illegal aliens to remain in the U.S., the White House warned in a fact sheet calling for Congress to act to close the loopholes. While immigration law empowers the government to deport, quote, aggravated felons, unquote, the following criminal convictions would not necessarily qualify as such. Okay, voluntary manslaughter, robbery, or child abuse, California. Aggravated assault, deadly conduct, or causing injury to a child, elderly individual, or disabled individual, Texas. Forcible sodomy or assault and battery on a police officer in Oklahoma. Really? Texas and Oklahoma, of all places. I mean, California, no surprise there, really, but in Texas and Oklahoma, like, holy shit. Burglary. No type of burglary qualifies as an aggravated felony in California, Iowa, South Carolina, Oregon, Michigan, and Florida. Really? I mean, no big surprise there, except from South Carolina, I'll say. And yeah, South Carolina, pretty much. Due to these judicially created loopholes, criminal aliens convicted of these egregious crimes could potentially remain in the country, the White House explains. At fault are judicial interpretations of the Immigration and Nationality Act by activist judges, the White House argues in its call for reform. In drafting the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, Congress included that criminal aliens convicted of any number of serious offenses referred to as aggravated felonies should be subject to immigration consequences. Federal courts, however, have created loopholes that prevent some serious criminal convictions from qualifying as aggravated felonies under the INA. As a result, the government is often unable to use the only grounds available to remove many criminal aliens. So, for any of you that have watched my channel for quite a while, you know of how I feel about immigration. I am anti-illegal immigration, and I think pretty much in the case that even if you're a legal immigrant, that if you're not a citizen yet, if you legally migrated to this country, but you're still not a citizen yet, but you're in the process of becoming a citizen, you need to abide by the rules of our country. You need to abide by the laws. I mean, especially for things like burglary, robbery, sodomy. Well, okay, wait a minute. Let me see that again. Okay, so, it emphasizes forcible sodomy in the in the list of crimes there. Yeah, I mean, forcible sodomy, that's pretty much rape. So in the case of rape, murder, and theft, burglary, all of that, if you commit any of those crimes, despite you legally migrating to this country, if you have not become a citizen yet, in my opinion. Because if you were to break our laws while you're in the process of being a citizen, how do we know that you will be an upstanding citizen when you, well, officially become a citizen? It's a matter of trust, honestly. We do not know you as a person, so we have no real reason to trust you. But at the same time, you came into the country legally, so we have no real reason to distrust you. But if you do come into the country legally, but haven't become a citizen yet, and then you commit the crime, then that's a reason for us to distrust you, and therefore deport you, in my opinion. I mean, even in the case of if you're going to be smuggling drugs, I mean, I'm all against a drug war. I'm all for decriminalizing weed and pretty much crack and cocaine as well, heroin. I'm open to all that. But as it stands right now, they are illegal. And if you're going to be smuggling in those drugs, then that makes me wonder, how much of an upstanding citizen are you really going to be? Anyway, so, dang it. So it's probably been about 30 minutes. Yeah, it's been 31 minutes and 23 seconds. So I'm probably going to end it right here. For all of you who have watched this episode of Strike Force, for all of you who are going to watch this episode of Strike Force, thank you for viewing, and thanks for all the likes, the 3 people who like this. And I'm Zach, the Dark Conservatarian. This has been Strike Force, and I am signing out. See y'all Sunday.